Hello.
Famous, famous bodybuilders all around us, but not around us at all. Mysterious.
If everyone is famous bodybuilder, then no one's a famous bodybuilder. If everyone's got
We are the
superpowers,
real
no
Slim
one has
Shady.
superpowers. All of us are.
What defines
But
a
what I was gonna
bodybuilder? You. That scene
everyone.
from Rush Hour. Who are you? I am you.
No, not you, me. Yeah, I am me. That is you. What the hell is going on?
The
I don't know
funniest
what you're
part about
feeding him,
that
but he
scene
is too
too.
damn big.
The funniest part about that scene too is that's basically like how Jackie Chan communicated while he was learning English. Like he would just these staggered sentences and like a half understanding what's being said.
Yeah, that was a good ass series of movies. Those are so funny. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan was perfect. That was a perfect cast for that. They couldn't have.
Jackie Chan was learning English on the set. Like he was not fluent at all when he started.
Yeah, he was pretty fresh in America at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
That was like early 2000s, something like that.
But that's what you get when you get a rising comedy star combined with the greatest stunt performer of all time.
Yeah, damn near killing himself with that building drop off that he
Every
did.
scene.
Yeah, pretty much, which is wild. That's why I have respect for actors who do their own stunts, like Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason Statham does a lot of them too. Like
Jason Statham's blooper takes are really funny. There's one I just saw where he jumps down on a jet ski and there's a woman in front of him, and the scene is to pick up the woman and put the woman behind him and then go on the jet ski. He just picks her up
hmm
and flips her off the thing and speeds away.
Jeez, that's awesome. I wonder what it's like to like Tom Cruise has like gotten messed up doing stunts. So I wonder like what the nerves are like. But the
He
craziest
does
one's still
like
that C-130 strapped to the side of that plane. That's
I
still
was
the craziest.
that one or the new one he did for the new Mission Impossible, where he takes the motorcycle off the cliff. Did you see that
Oh, I
one?
haven't seen that. I haven't even seen the movie yet. I
Yeah,
got to
I
see
haven't
it
seen the
though. I
movie. I
love
just
Mission
saw
Impossible.
like the building up to it, but it's a ramp and he has a parachute on his back, but he drives a bike off a mountain
hmm And
and
then
then just
parachutes down to the
free
bottom.
dives. Well, he free dives first.
Jeez, that's wild.
It's absolutely wild. But yes, the
I'd
plane
love to do
is
shit like
pretty
that.
wild, where he's holding on to the side of it. I don't know. That's wild to me.
I mean, he's strapped in and he's not going anywhere, but that's still crazy to experience, you know, like there's probably so many like safety measures involved that like you'd have to have like an elephant to break them, you know, like they're like
Well,
that's
the funny part about the airplane scene is that is 100 or 1000% a scene that you can film using the right camera angles and even models. Like you do not
yeah,
need to film on a
yeah,
real
there
plane
was no
doing that. And
reason.
he's like, bro, strap me in.
Could have just done CGI, strapped him to the side of a plane, just did a really strong fan, and that's all you really needed. And you just CGI the background and just but
Yeah.
record like taking off in the same plane, but just from the
hmm
back. Like you just record the same spot, put him in it. Would have been way easier. Probably way easier and way safer, but they're like, nah, no, we're gonna go hard. But that was part of the marketing, was like
Yeah.
he actually did his own
Well,
stunts. Like that's part of it.
that's that's always been him. Every movie, it's like he's going to be doing something outlandish.
Right. Always a crazy stunt with him.
Yeah.
But what I was going to mention earlier was I went to Fitness Factory yesterday.
hmm
It's the first time I've been since I think it was May of last year. I went for like my birthday. It was kind of like a chest and arm day or chest and bicep day or something.
Is
And
that the one that we went to? The big
yes,
warehouse? Okay.
yep, it's that one. And I went yesterday just to try it out because I'm kind of looking at like different gyms. I like to change up my gym every like year or two. It doesn't have to be like a brand new gym to me, at least. Like I could, like in the past, I went to Gold's, then I went to Elite Fitness, and then I went back to Gold's for a while. So like it doesn't have to be like new stuff. I just like to change it up, and a lot of times, um, the thing with it is like is most gyms don't have like multiple versions of things. So if a lot of the equipment becomes stale for me, like my only option is to switch gyms. You know, like that's there's multiple people I've watched out there, like I've watched so many videos on like what to do when like you feel like a movement's gotten stale, and they always talk about like changing it up with different variation stuff, but like you get to a point where you're just like, I just need something like really different. Like I need a completely different machine, or like, I can't just like do free weight again. I've already done free weight like 6 months ago, or whatever, for like a couple months. Like I need something a bit different. And I know like, in the grand scheme of things, really I should be sticking to the same movements for like well over 6 months. But like every few months I like to change it up with the movements themselves. And so I'm looking at a new gym right now. There's one being built. I'm going to wait for that one to open up to make a decision. But I went to Fitness Factory. They bought the other half of the building that they're in. So now they're actually one of the biggest gyms in the world, like square footage wise. They're over 40,000 square feet. Yeah. And the equipment is, dude, it is insane. They've gotten so many pieces of equipment in, old and new, and it is absurd.
Do they still half and half the property?
Yeah. So the way it was before was like, what you saw, there was like the left half and the right half, and the right half had the turf, and you paid the one price or you paid both. But now it's like that whole section that you saw before was the first half. You pay the lower price for that half, and the second half is like on the other side of like where we're doing the incline press. There's like a garage door. On the other side of that garage door is the other half of the building.
Okay.
That side is the extra cost. But like, there is machinery over there I have never seen before. Like, it is insane. There's a skull crusher machine that's like free weight plate loaded, and like you lay down on a bench, and there's like these handles, and then right where your elbow goes for the skull crusher is right where the pivot point is, and the plates are on the outside of that pivot point, and like you skull crush. What, it's so crazy looking. It was so crazy looking.
So it's kind of like if,
Here, I'll send it
if
to
a
you.
pullover machine was hinged, right? Because you're
Laying
making one
down.
movement. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're laying down in it. So like, this is what it looked like here. I just sent it to you. I'll share my screen once it gets sent to you.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. That looks
Let me
old too.
see. Yeah, it is.
I like vintage looking stuff.
Open this up. I don't know if that's gonna. It's not gonna go big picture. Let me see here. Let me show you guys. I'll show the entire screen. There we go. All right, so this is what it looked like. This is what I took a photo of. So you got these pivot points, right? So this is kind of where your elbows sit on the inside of these pivot points in between here and here. There's this black bar right here. That's what actually like holds up the like machine, so that way you can get in it and start using it. But when you pull this out in order to swing it up for the skull crusher, it drops like it is over here, right? So that way you get full range of motion. Yeah, and then this is where you put your hands to do the actual skull crusher. So it's got like a pivot at your wrist, kind of. So you could like kind of be free with your hand for the most part, and then a pivot at your elbow. And I'm like, this is so fucking sick. Then this machine right here, you're seeing here, is an incline chest fly machine.
Interesting.
So that one's pretty crazy. And then here's this pullover machine. I'm going to send it to you, and I'll share my screen with it. Here's this pullover machine that I used. So it's a pullover machine where you put your elbows on these pads right here. I took a wide angle photo, so it looks kind of weird, but put your elbows on these pads right here. Your hands kind of like grab onto these handles, and then each arm has its own stack, right? So you push down on these things down here at the bottom, right? That way, like these little foot things, that way you can like get the weight out. It's kind of like setting it up, and then you do the pullover. The only problem that I had was I almost prefer pullovers where there's a pullover machine a couple machines over. That's the hammer strength one, but this one, excuse me, this one, when you do the pullover, I almost like it where I want the pullover to kind of come straight down, because I do it for my like lats mostly, which is mostly what this is for. You can see on the little diagram here that it's mostly for your lats, but I just get a really good focus out of it if I just pull basically from my elbow, like on the pad, and I get a really good squeeze at the bottom. But with this one, it goes wide. So like you start narrow and end up wider at the bottom, and your hands are like out like this. So you're like doing this shit. It's almost like a pull down versus like a pullover, even though it is a pullover. It's really weird. Like you keep everything wider rather than like neutral and narrow, which is what I'm used to. So that's a pretty crazy machine to use. But I mean, I'm gonna wait till the other one opens up. The other one's called QC Shark or QC Pump House, QC Pump House, Queen City Pump House, which is what Charlotte's called, is Queen City. So it's QC Pump House. They're supposed to have really, really good equipment in their warehouse. I think it's huge. I think it's like 20,000 square feet or something. So we're gonna wait for them to open up and see what their pricing is and what equipment they got and all that, because I think everything's new for them. I'm gonna see what they got. But if they don't fit what I'm looking for, which I'm sure they probably would, they're a lot closer of a drive too, probably like 10 minutes. At least from what I could tell, based off of what he said when I talked to them. He said they're like an hour or a mile off of this highway, and I think if I'm thinking of it correctly, it's about 10 minutes from me, which is a closer drive. But if they don't hit what I'm looking for, I'll probably just go to Fitness Factory. But the problem is that they increased their prices. It used to be $60 for the first half, and then $100 for both. Now it's $80 for the first half and $130 for both. And I'm like, oh, jeez. But because of that, there's like no one there, right? There's like no one in the building. Like there's a lot of people. There's like 30 people, but like because it's so big, it's so spread out, it feels like nobody's there, you know? And because of that, you don't got any like broccoli heads or anything like that, you know, showing up and benching for an hour. So it keeps the less serious people out of the gym, which is good for me. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But
I'm sure you're envying my Vanarchy 300 for the whole year.
oh, that'd be nice. I mean, I pay $35 per month right now, and it's 2 gyms. So it's not bad. It's month to month now. I've already paid for the like I've already been there for a year, so it's month to month now. But
see,
I miss Vanarchy. I want out down here.
Well, so here's the thing. As much as I like Vanarchy, I also need a social level to my gym experience. Like it's not saying I go to the gym to hang out or talk. Not only do I perform better when I feel like someone's watching me, but I just enjoy the social aspect of like, okay, if I have time in between sets, I see someone that I know, I can have a quick chat or something like that. And Vanarchy just doesn't really have that because it's so low key and it's so like, if you're an adult in there, you're in there just to get your work done and get out. There's a bunch of high schoolers in there, and I just kind of ignore them. But I keep thinking about heading back to Empire just because I've been missing that social component of my lift.
But remember how busy it was?
Well, like, and so that's the other thing. It's like, if I can get to a point where I can afford both, then I would love to do that. Like, if I know, like, weekends are slow as all hell at Empire, could go and do that. But it's just not financially, doable or not even doable, but it doesn't even make sense to be paying for 2 gym memberships and using one for just a couple days. So for now, we're going to stick it out with Van, and just keep going. Plus, I mean, Van, not that I ask him the same kind of stuff that I was asking Alex, but I have basically free coaching, not to the level of what I was getting with Alex, but if I have questions about poses, if I have questions about supplements or dieting, Van will just give me that information. So that is also a pretty nice piece. Obviously, if I ever went into like a prep for a show or anything like that, that would be a paid situation. But for just day-to-day stuff, I can very easily just ask him and get some pretty good information. And I can't really get that at another gym.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's a cool dude. He's always been kind of there for the people that go there, which is good. And he loves it. He loves what he does. So it's good to see that. But yeah, I mean, I miss Vanarchy. Just the atmosphere and the equipment is always good. And it's always the same people. And I'm the opposite. I don't want that social aspect. I'll chat with someone here and there, but like, I don't really want to talk. I just want to lift. I just want to get out. I'll chat with someone, but it's like more than a minute or two, and I'm like, all right, I really got to get back to lifting here. Like my rest was that long, and now like I still have to put the weight on the machine and shit. So it gets to the point where I'm like, all right. But outside, I mean, outside that, I'm fine. I don't mind lifting around people or anything like that. It's just like if it gets too busy where I have to wait for shit, and that's what happened with goals. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I should probably go back to goals. They got multiple locations for like basically it's like 8 or 9 golds in the Carolina area for like one price. And I'm like, oh, the equipment's pretty solid. Like the equipment, like I saw when I went to the seminar, I saw the new equipment at that other spot that I used to go to, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty sick. Like I should look into it. But then I'm like, I remember how busy it was, and I just really cannot do it to myself again. Like where I would literally wait for like every single machine I wanted to use, like that. I just can't do it again. It made my training so much fucking longer. Like it's crazy. And you lose
Nothing
your
is
sweat.
nothing
Like
is
I hate
worse.
that.
Yeah, nothing is worse than knowing, like, me and you have talked about this all the time, but like, let's say you have, like, me and you are very set in what we want to do when we go into the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, like, for example, I do on my chest day, I do 2 press movements before I even touch a cable movement because I want that size before I do any definition work. But I know that after those 2 press movements, I I kind of need to do that cable movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is worse than when you have that schedule built out for yourself and then you can't access what it is, and then you have to loop back to it later on in the workout.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks. Because it's that'll happen sometimes with my gym now. Like sometimes it can get kind of busy. I almost never really have to wait for anything. Sometimes people ask to work in and whatever. But like that's neither here nor there. It's whatever. It's just how it goes, especially when you go at like 5:30, 6 o'clock every day. But there's times where I go to like I have a very specific movement set, right? And like I go to do a specific movement, and there's a reason it's movement number 4. It's a reason it's movement number 5. And the one machine that I need for that movement is being used. I'm like, damn it. And like there are times where like I've gotten genuinely angry because like there's just one time I still remember it to this day. I got so fucking angry. And this isn't like me being on anything that like added to it. I was completely off everything. Like I just got so genuinely angry because it was just so incredibly selfish. So what happened was, I think I was doing like overhand barbell rows or something. This is a few months ago, and I was just trying to do stuff that I enjoyed doing. So I was doing like overhand barbell rows or something like that. And I was like, all right, obviously this we're going to do. So go do some deadlifts. And at the gym I go to right now, there's one deadlift platform. The good thing about Fitness Factories, there's like literally like 15 deadlift platforms. Like it's so fucking huge. Like even at the busiest time yesterday, there was like 2 out of the 10 on one side being used. I'm like, I never would have to wait for anything. There's 4 sets of dumbbells all the way up to like 200. It's fucking crazy, but you
And
never have to wait for anything.
all the deadlift spots have the pull up rack bar thing, like the whole
I would
panel.
imagine. I didn't. Yeah,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I didn't look that in depth to it, but I did see like their actual platforms. And
Yeah.
there's like a good like 4 on one side. I think like 5 or 6 at least on the other side, and then a couple more on the more expensive side. So you never have to wait for anything. There's a whole cable machine, like with like it's like almost the size of Anarchy. But the cable machine's not the size of Anarchy, but like imagine
You have to
it's
pull
like.
you have to grab one, walk 30 feet to the side to grab the other one, and then
Imagine you have to do like side lateral raises. You have to like grab it, walk all the way to the other side, and then lean and then do it. But imagine like the second half of Anarchy in the back, kind of. Imagine like that whole area just for like one cable machine, the size of the other cable machine in Anarchy. Like the stack, the 2 stack.
yeah.
Yeah, imagine that on the other side, but all of that just for the cable machine. Like that's how spread out this gym is because it's so big. So it's crazy. You don't have to wait for anything. But at my gym now, I was doing overhand barbells and this one deadlift platform. There's other squat racks and shit, but those are all being used. I was using one of them, but so like I could have done deadlifts on what I was using, but I'd rather just use the deadlift platform. It's quieter. I got the thing that actually like I could leave the weight on the ground. I could use that lever thing to leverage the bar up, so I could put plates on it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go use that. I'm after about my first set of overhand barbell rows. This guy comes in, goes to the machine. I kind of know who he is. He's kind of a like I don't really know who he is. I just know that he trains like a power builder kind of. he looks really good for like he's in really really good shape, better shape than I am, but he does the same thing every day, and it's about the strength and also the looks. So like he's probably gonna look the same for the rest of his life, but
like
he,
a Larry Wheels style.
I mean, that's like more like powerlifting. Power
But
builders
I
is
meant the
like,
balance between the two,
yeah. So
between
like he's pretty
lifting for
lean.
strength. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lean power lifter, kind of, but like he doesn't train for PRs. He just wants to be strong. Like there's guys who are like that, where they want to be strong, but they also want to look good. You can't really get the best of both worlds, so they're called power builders. And he's kind of like that. And I'm like, oh no, he's probably going to take so long on the machine. Or, I mean, on the deadlift platform. So I'm about 2 or 3 sets in, like 2 or 3 sets on top of my first set. So I'm like fourth set, I think, third or fourth set. And I was like done pretty much. I was done overhead barbell rows. And I was actually like taking my time to see if he'd be done. He hadn't even put the weight on there yet. He was still like stretching. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I do like 2 or 3 more movements. I do deadlifts right there, just get those done. By the time I was on my deadlifts, he hadn't even done his first set. He put the weight on and then did more shit, or just like walked around the gym. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then by the time I was actually done at the gym, another like 2 or 3 movements later, like a good like half hour at least, he's still on the deadlift platform. I'm like,
Jesus.
dude, he like came in. I remember this because this is how I knew he was going to deadlift platform. He came in. I didn't see him come into the door. He was about halfway to the gym, and he started like almost jogging to the deadlift platform because nobody was using it. Like he fucking skedaddled over there, and I'm like, oh no. And I watch him go over there, and I'm like, fuck. And then I was like, well, let's see how long he takes, and then that's what ended up happening. Like I hate that shit, So
Mm-hmm.
that is one good thing about Fitness Factory is that it's there's so much shit in it. You just don't have to wait for anything, and it's pretty cool. There's a T-bar row I used yesterday that the actual like T-bar itself was like legit like 6 or 7 feet. It was so long. Like the plate moves like 10 feet from the end
Yeah.
to like the top. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I can't stand when gyms are busy. And I know it's good for business, but it gets fucking annoying when you have a very specific split and very specific movements you got to do, and the one machine or one thing that's being used is being used.
See, and that's the
So,
exact conversation that we had that drove me from Empire. Like, I
mhm.
I said literally the exact words that you said. It is great for their business. They're going to make a ton of money. I am happy for them, but my God, I
Mhm.
can't work out here because
It's
there's no
awful.
room. Like, and I remember when I quit, I got a call from one of the desk girls because they always do like a routine thing, like when you file your paperwork to cancel your membership and whatnot. They follow up with you,
Yeah.
and they were like, "So, what's the big reason why you're leaving?" And I was like, "Well, it's like I'm happy for you guys, but there's just too many people there for me to work out." And they were like, "Well, do you know that we're upgrading and opening up more space?" And so now, I haven't been there in, I don't know, it's been some time. It was last summer actually. Shit. So we're almost coming up on a year.
Hmm.
And it was at the time it was just gym 1 and gym 2, and gym 2 was like a good leg area, but there weren't any mirrors, so I didn't like it. Um, and their upgraded space is now just the posing room. It's not more lifting area for me. So
Mm.
for me, that doesn't really do anything to help me want to come back and lift there. Like, yeah, the posing room looks phenomenal. I love it. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
would
a cool
love to
posing
do
room.
that at the end of like not every workout because it's not needed after every workout, but like 2, 3 times a week, I would love to do that.
Hmm.
But it just there's no argument to be made to help me come back there. And to the you're talking about the deadlift stuff. We have I try to go when I get out of work, like teaching. And unfortunately, that's also when a lot of the high school kids go because think like get home, eat something real quick, and then you go. Like that's literally what I do just from the adult side. And there's only 2 squat racks at band, and that can get a little bit in the way. Like I haven't had actual squats in my workout for a bit. I do hack squats, so it's not like I'm waiting for that. But one of the things that I
Yeah.
need that for is good mornings, because I fucking blast good mornings. It's one of my favorite hamstring movements, and I do it at the very end when I'm just shaking completely. Um, and like I'll be sitting there, and there's 3 of them, 4 of them, maybe 5, not all the time, but it's like 3 or 4 that are always just on that squat rack, and they'll do, high school work, which is, bro, can you spot me? And they go for like 225, they do a half rep, and then they get all pumped for each other. And it it pisses me off because I want to do the dorkiest movement known to man, which is a good morning.
Yeah.
And here these guys are doing the high school version of ego lifting. Like, I personally don't mind ego lifting. I don't like ego lifting when you do half reps. So that's kind of like my big issue with that. Like, if you're gonna do it, at least go down all the way. Like, let me see ass to grass. Let me see a true rep, and then we can then I'll come over. I'll dab you up myself if you do that.
Yeah, but that's part of ego lifting, though, is that they almost never do a full rep. That's why it's called ego lifting. Otherwise, it's just called powerlifting.
I guess so. I guess so.
So you got to take that approach. They're just ego lifting. There's no they're not going for PRs. They're just going for how much weight could they put on their back and not
Yeah.
collapse while they're moving it
Which,
around.
and see, that's also why I like the social component, because I used to work out, not with, but we would like be there at the same time sometimes. It's my buddy Kyle. And his warm up weight might be like 2 or 3 plates on squat. Like, he lifts more squatting than anybody I know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Some dudes are just
there's,
super strong at squats. It's
yeah,
the way
absolutely.
your limbs are built. Like some dudes' limbs are just built like your legs, like the actual leverages you have in your legs, like the length of your thighs versus the length of your calf. Like those
Mm,
bones, like that. Actually, you can actually be like super strong just because of the way your legs are leveraged.
yeah,
Some dudes are just built for squats. Some dudes are just built for bench. Some dudes are just built for deadlifts, stuff like that. So,
yeah. And we talk
anyways, go
about
ahead.
how, well, we talk about how shorter dudes can, sometimes do more weight just because of the lower range of motion. But this dude's 6'4", he's
Mm-hmm.
just like me. So this is a
Yeah.
big, the mountain of a man. And like, from the social component, like, my working set last time I did squats was like 2.5, 2, 3.25, and then 3. Like if I was progressively building upwards. And he has like 4.5, maybe 5 plates on, and there's nothing more exhilarating than trying to go rep for rep with him, even though the weights are different, but there's like that competitive edge to it. And that's why when I say I like the social aspect, I like being able to, obviously it's different weights, but compete with someone.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets you a bit more motivated. You
Yeah.
need something to push you a little bit more, not just compare yourself to yourself. But like imagine like C-Bomb's predicament. There's no one else to beat. There's no one who's
well,
better.
well, he still works out with like Urs sometimes. He'll work out with Ramon sometimes, and I
Yeah.
always think back on like that video of Urs, and they're going to do the plate loaded shoulder press, and you see C-Bomb rep out like, I don't know, it was like 10, not 10 because he was 5, but it was like 8, but it was like good reps. And then Urs gets underneath it and goes, in translation to English, but he goes, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. There was video of him a couple years ago. Shortly after I think he went pro at the New York Pro, but C-Bomb was lifting with Nick Walker, and Nick had like 4 plates on a T-bar row or something like that. And Chris like, I got to throw on some more weight on there. Nick's like, more weight? And I think he threw on like another like 2 plates and started repping it out. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is muscle density like muscle maturity versus like superficial muscle and like inflated muscle. Like that's the
Yeah,
difference. Like Nick
yeah,
looks way bigger than Chris does, but Chris's muscle's so fucking dense he can just lift way more. You know,
yep,
um, like that probably comes down to like Urs and Chris and all that, but like it's like Tiger, it's like you get so good at something, you're the best in the world. Now what? Like what's the next like level? Like what could he learn that could make the game better? Like what? Like it's you like lifting. You lift with someone who's weaker than you. Like you're not like what can I do to push myself more?
yeah,
Or something like that. It's like when you're the best in the world, every single person you work out with or train with or compete against or whatever isn't as good as you. So what do you strive for?
mm.
But I had the same machine issue the other day for legs. I do 4 movements on my legs right now. It starts with leg curls, then I go into leg press. Um, I did vertical the other day because I didn't feel like doing a regular leg press because I just didn't feel like putting on so many fucking plates. Like vertical leg press, I do a lot less plates.
Mm.
And then I went into lunges with the Smith machine for glutes, and then I do leg extensions at the end. That way, I don't have to do as much weight on the leg extensions, and they burn a lot more because my legs are already pretty toast. As I'm walking over the leg extensions, both leg extensions are being used. So I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm like, this is my last movement. I just want to go home. And I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'm skipping it. I'm like, there's no other, like, I can't just, like, there's no other way for me to do leg extensions. Like I
Yeah.
could do lunges a different way. I could do a barbell, I could do dumbbells or something, or like even like a pit shark or something like that. But like there's literally no other way for me to do leg extensions than the machine. Like I don't have there's no bench that does it. I can't really do it with free weight. I would need a shit ton of free weight. Like I can't really do it. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just leaving. There's no other way for me to do it.
Sit on the end of a bench, grab your wrist wraps, and tie a dumbbell to your ankles, and just start
That's
lifting.
literally that's like what I was thinking about. I was like, could I use a dumbbell, just like squeeze the shit out of the dumbbell between my feet and just like leg extension it? But I'm like, you could do a sissy squat. Like a sissy squat's like very close to a leg extension, but like I don't know. I just didn't. Usually the sissy squat's something I do like as a superset with something else, and I don't put any weight. I don't put any weight on my back or anything, and I just do just like body weight and just until failure. So
Yeah.
but like to replace leg extensions on a machine with sissy squats just wouldn't make any sense. So I
Mm.
just was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go home. I'm already shaking. My legs are shaking. It was a long day. I had a very stressful week this week because we lost. Our water bill was underneath someone's name for some reason. We just never swapped it over, and the other person never canceled it. So, come to find out, our water bill was underneath somebody else's name, and they weren't paying the bill, so our water got shut off on
Shoot.
Wednesday, and we got to turn it back on Friday, yesterday, or no, Thursday, like afternoon, I think it was. Yeah, it's Thursday
Yeah.
afternoon. So we were without water for a little over a day, and like that was so fucking stressful. So after legs, I just wanted to fucking go home and take a shower. Like I hadn't taken a shower in the past couple of days because we didn't have any water. I'm like, man, I just want to go take a shower. I just want to go
You
home.
heard it here first. Paul is a squatter.
A squat. Wait, what?
A squatter. You haven't seen the
Oh,
news
oh,
walking
oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
around.
dude, there's no thing more fucking infuriating than squatters' rights. I'm sorry,
Yep.
what? You mean
Yep.
you mean theft? Like rights
Yeah.
for thieves?
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, it makes my blood boil thinking about that shit. And having the actual this is completely off topic, but the actual all the hoops homeowners have to jump through just to get people out of their fucking house. Like
Hmm.
it is absurd. And so, I watched some where it would take over a year to get these people out, and
Well,
they
do
just
you know what
ruin the
the
property.
do you know what the the new thing is? This guy figured it out. Um,
Oh no.
the the whole point. No, not figured out how to be a good squatter, but figured out how to get squatters out.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the whole point of, and we'll get back to our fitness topic after, but the whole point
Yeah.
of, I'm gonna die when we have the timestamps in the middle of the pod is gonna be squatting,
Squatters
and
rights. Could be
everyone's gonna
like
be like, "Wow, there's
machinery.
rights for squatter, like for people
Yeah.
trying to do legs."
Leg extensions, squatters' rights, how to get people out of your house. Oh shit!
Yeah,
Do you see that thumbs
just did
up?
the thing.
Squatters' rights, and then it's back to why some gyms suck. I don't know.
But
Go ahead.
the thing that he figured out, like the whole premise behind initially getting into a building, is you wait for the person to leave, right? Or maybe they
Mm-hmm.
vacated and like they're starting to list the property or something like that. You go in
Yeah.
and you change the locks. Like that is how squatting works. And once you're in, you're in. And
Mm-hmm.
like theoretically, you like because of how, and I'm gonna say it because of how the libs want it, you are able to just stay there, right? So this guy figured out, he's like, all right, I'm going to bring a drill. I'm going to wait for the squatters to leave, drill through their lock, replace the lock, and squat inside of my building and
Yeah.
just wait the people out. And there's a whole website now dedicated. You can hire people to go squat the squatters to get your house back.
That is awesome. They're beating them at their own game. They're giving them a dose of their own medicine. That's what's
Yeah.
up. I hate that, dude. I hate that so much.
Yeah. But to
I
get back
like,
to the real topic,
yeah,
have you ever, from, we're talking about like how if you have a movement and it's taken up for so long, like outside of leg day, because I don't know about you, but my cardio is pretty limited on a leg day because I'm trying
yeah,
not to really, like, there's no purpose in me hitting half hour on the treadmill after I just cooked my thighs and everything. So
yeah,
what what I've done in the past, I'm curious to know if you have, like, let's say on a chest day where you have one thing left, and for me it's like I've changed it around so I don't run into this, but it was always like I have a cable movement left, and cables are just so tough to come by at every gym I go to. Um, and so I'll go and I'll hit cardio. Like I'll be on the treadmill, but just watching whatever like piece I'm waiting for. And the second it's good, I'm hitting stop and I'm getting over there. I'm curious to know if you've ever done that.
yeah. I mean, there's times where I've cut it short because it's like I've been waiting for one piece of machine, especially at Gold's. Like I'll wait for like one machine in particular, and
Mm.
somebody's been using it for a bit. So like if I'm like 2 sets into something and I see it open up, I'll just fucking book it over there and just use it because like usually if I'm using something else while I'm waiting for that machine, it's because that other thing is like pretty open most of the time. So like maybe it's like because of the Golds, at least the one good thing that they had was that they had so many. There's a triple cable stack, so like there's plenty of cables to use. So a lot of time there was some sort of cable open, right? So I would just use the cables, and then I would go use that machine when it opens up. But I do that sometimes. Like if I have to wait for a particular thing, I'll throw in like ab work. I'll go do like cable crunches or like leg lifts or something because I got to do that anyways, and it doesn't really matter when I do it in my workout. So I'll go do that or something like that. Sometimes, like right now, I might walk on the treadmill depending on the day because I need to get more steps in. So I might go like walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes or something, wait for them to be done, and then I'll book it over there. But it's really not. It's not too much of a problem right now with the gym I go to now, and it hasn't really been in the past like year or so. But like it sometimes it can be a problem. Usually it isn't. It's just like if it's a particular machine, like that leg extension thing is very rare because there's two leg extensions, and usually people prefer the one that I prefer one, and people prefer usually the same one. So the worst possible situation is sometimes people are using the one that I like. I just use the other one. It's not as good. The pad's pretty rough. That's why I don't like it. But I'll just like put like my leg sleeves or like my knee sleeves like around my ankle. So that way it's not digging into my ankles. But, that's the only thing like I have to really compromise. Sometimes the pullover machine is being used when I'm ready for it. So I'll go do like abs. So they'll come back and it's ready because people don't capitalize on pullover machines like they should. I feel like pullover machine specifically is one of the most like slept on movements of all time, arguably. I'll die on that hill. Pullovers I will always have in my back workout machine
And
specifically.
what's really interesting about that is that any big time bodybuilder you look at, like vintage stuff too, like golden era stuff too, you will see a video of them hitting a pullover machine.
Mm-hmm. Dorian Yates, one of the biggest
Yep.
things that he contributes his back size to his pullovers, and specifically the pullover machine at Vanarchy. I'm pretty sure is the exact same machine as Dorian Yates's pullover machine. I'm pretty
Tucked
confident.
away too. Like people don't even know,
Yeah,
like unless you know where it is, like yeah.
yeah. And then the other thing too with pullovers is that people always associate pullovers with abs or chest. And it's like, no, trust me. You pull from your elbow, you leverage it from your elbow, and then you squeeze your lats. So kind of like you're doing a pull down, but you pull it over. So it's an arcing
Mm-hmm.
motion rather than a straight down motion. And it's so good on your lats.
Well, yeah, it's like you're talking about with
It's not the same as
the narrow to
cables.
wide, the one
Yeah,
that
it's
you were
weird.
mentioning earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was weird. That one's weird, just the way it's built. But the hammer strict one is the same one that they had at Empire for the pullover machine. It's plate loaded.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't like about that one is that it's like a triangle, right? So it's like here's like the pads, and there's like these two angled pieces of metal, and then there's like a conjoining piece of metal up here, right? And
Yeah.
the conjoining piece is too far for me to like really grab that piece comfortably. Because what I want to do is I want to grab it like inwards, like this. Like I want to grab it like this and do the pullover so that my hands are close together. But it's so far away I can't do that. But then like the angled part is so angled I can't really like bend my wrist to grab that. So it's like a weird like I gotta just like kind of pinch like this in order to do my pullovers, and I don't really like doing that. So like that's my only problem with the hammer strength. At least an older hammer strength is that just like it's not the best like as far as like where I like to put my hands for the actual movement. I think the best one I've ever used, I think, is a Nautilus. Is the one at elite athletics I used to go to. Not too long actually after I moved to the northern part of Charlotte, but it's called Elite. They have a Nautilus one actually. There's a recent video of C-Bum lifting with not Rami, Hadi. No, Hani Rambod. Jeez, Hani
Yep.
Rambod. There's
I
so
get it
many
mixed up all the time.
Hanis. Yeah, Hani Rambod. He was lifting with him. They're just doing a bunch of like kind of just like pump movements. Like there were so many movements that like it just didn't really need to do all that. But they were doing the Nautilus pullover machine, and it was just pushing them like crazy on it. It was such a good machine. There is this one you're gonna like. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's this one type of machinery that I want to try. Let me see if I could find the brand. It's a new brand. Let me see if I could find it. I know it's from Italy. Italian. Let me see. Dude, I don't know what it's called. It's an Italian name. RP Strength was kind of
Linguini.
teasing it. Yeah, it was something like that. Like it's called like it's something like that, but it's like it's not like they called it like
Just name different
Partigi or
pastas.
something.
Yeah, just name different pasta things and you'll get there.
Yeah, probably. You ever seen that clip where the girls like the anchor is like, if you add ham to this, it almost becomes a British carbonara. You ever seen that?
I haven't, no.
Oh, so this Italian's making this meal for these two news anchors, and she goes, I don't know what it was. There's some sort of like, I think it seemed like some sort of like Alfredo dish. I don't even know what British carbonara is, but she goes, if you add ham to this, and he's like looks at her like with just like pure anger. Right when he
Yeah.
heard if you add ham to this, he's like, and so because they're really passionate about their food. So
Yeah.
she goes, if you add ham to this, and he looks up at her, and she goes, it's almost like a British carbonara. And the other anchor's like, yeah, I could see what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. And the Italian goes, yeah, and if my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike. Like, what are you talking about? And they just start like damn near pissing themselves. It was good. I know what it looks like. Yes, there it is. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so this is the machinery I've always wanted to try. Okay, here we go. So this is it. So it's Panata. Panata. That's why they're making that joke, because it's Panata.
So that's an
It won't
overhead
load, but yeah. So like basically, this is an overhead press. Yeah, as an example. Let me share this. Let me share this tab. Why don't you share? Let me. So like, basically the way it works, right, is it's a Smith machine, right? So each side is on its own rail system, and then it's got the counterweights and all that, right? Like built into the machine. I don't think you can see the counterweights, but you got these different handles and shit you could use. But basically, you put the weight on each side. It's the bench is built in. You can leverage the bench in different ways. A lot of times, so like something like this, I want to see you could also do. I think you could see it up here. You can't see my mouse. There it is. You can see it up here, I think, but you can actually turn this into like an incline bench machine. I'm pretty sure. Like the way that they built it is you could actually like drop the back down and scoot it out forward a little bit to do an incline bench. But the reason I want to try this is because it's Smith machine, so it's like a guided weight movement. But it's wide at the bottom and then converges at the top, which is like how you're supposed to do a lot of these movements, right? So like flat bench, incline bench, shoulder press, stuff like that. You're supposed to start wide and narrow. That's the point, right? Like that's how you get the full stretch and full contraction of the movement. But these I think these machines are just super, super expensive. Yeah, so it's Panata. That's why they were saying that, because when he was training one of his athletes, and his athletes goes, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I really like Panata machines." He goes, "No, it's Italian, so it's Panata." Um, yeah, so like this is the brand in general. This is the reason also why he likes them too. This is RP strength, Renaissance periodization. Phil Heath is like a huge sponsor for Panata now, but so like they have a skull crusher machine that's also a bench press machine, but it's a deficit bench press machine or whatever it's called, like, with a cambered bar. So like this right here, this cambered part, that's where your chest goes. So you're actually supposed to do such a deep bench that you actually go past your chest. Yeah, so your chest actually fits into that little slot right here. That's why it's built that way. And then you got your easy bar right here that you can kind of do for like skull crushers. But like it just looks like their machine just looks so sick. They got like their own kind of like pit shark. Oh, that's another thing that they got too at Fitness Factory is they have multiple pit sharks. Like this isn't a pit shark, but it's similar to this. It's like a belt squat. But not only do they have multiple of those, they actually got a cable pit shark. I don't know if you've ever tried those. They're super hard to find. But basically, it's like a belt squat instead of like a leveraged bar like this. So you put the weight. In this case, you put it here. But on a pit shark, it's like attached, right? Like the actual bar for the plates is attached. So you just basically squat, and the bar goes up and down, and that lifts the weight up and down. With the cable machine, the cable goes down into the platform, wraps around to the top, and then the stack, the pin. I mean, in this case, it was a plate. It was plates you put on there, but there's also stacked ones too. You adjust the weight in front of you, and then when you squat, when you squat down, the weight goes down. When you squat up, or no, I'm trying to think of the leveraging. So when you squat, I'm trying to think. So when you squat down, the weight's leveraged, the weight goes up, right? So that way you have to when you push against the weight. No, I'm thinking of it wrong.
It's like when we try to describe adductors and abductors.
Yeah, I'll just pull up an example. Cable belt squat machine. Okay, here we go. Here's like an example of it. Share this tab. So this is a good example. So it's like, so it's free floating. So basically you put the belt on and the cable goes down, comes up here, and then comes back around to the plates, right? So you could squat, and when you squat, this goes up and down, right? It is so sick. I've used it once, and it is so sick. So they have that now, where like a pit shark is like this, right? So you got the bar right here, and you got the weight right here. So when you squat down, this goes down. When you squat up, this goes up. So it's just a fulcrum. But then you got, like I said, like the cable, which is very similar, where it's still a belt squat machine, but it's cable driven. So it feels completely different. It's instead of like a fulcrum for the weight, it's just straight up and down. It's like comparing like a T-bar row like this to like cable T-bar rows, like a close grip cable row. It's like even though they're similar, they feel very different. The weight is just leveraged differently. So that was pretty sweet to see there. And then they had this, I got to show you, it's pretty sweet machine. So I could find the leg equipment. I don't even know half the leg equipment I've seen. Pendulum. They had a lat pull down pendulum machine. This is what it looks like right here. This is it basically right here.
Okay.
So it's Rogers that makes it. I don't know why it's super pixelated, but
and all you short kings need uppies to get to the handles.
Here we go. This is the exact one. This is white. This is the exact one right here. Uppies. I want uppies.
Uppies.
Because this shit's tall. This is high. Like this looks looks high, and it is high.
That's what I was gonna say.
But what's cool is that it's a machine leverage, or it's a plate leveraged lat pull down machine. But what's cool is that you could actually swap out the handles. Even though it's plate loaded, you can still swap out the handles. So like there's this handle, but I used this handle yesterday. And I didn't know that. I thought because most plate machines, you use what handle's built in, right? So I just used the handle that was there. But then as I'm walking by it to finish up my back day, I was walking by it and I looked and there's these attachments on the side. I never even noticed them before. I was like, no fucking way. So I looked and you could just pull these right off and just swap them. I'm like, that is sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rogers is a pretty cool brand. Atlantis, I think, is some of the best. Strive is still my favorite of all time. You can't beat Strive for me. Because Strive they have these where it's like, these are all old. I don't know why. Or maybe didn't it turn into Prime? Yeah, they turned into Prime, I think. Yeah. Okay, so it's Prime now, but it was Strive. So what they have at the gym is Strive. Strive has become Prime. So
Yeah.
they have the different plates. You used them there.
Yeah.
Where there's the different plate leveraging. So you could target the top of the rep, the bottom of the rep, the middle of the rep, whatever you want to target. Like leg extensions, you could target different areas of leg extension. If you want to get a good squeeze at the top, where it's heavier at the top, or if it's heavier at the bottom, and you want a good stretch, stuff like that. I also love this machine too. I don't know what this is. There's also this thing.
Well,
Imagine this thing.
The one thing that needs to become a staple at every gym, and I know you'll agree with me on this, is the Brian Shaw fucking the keg push.
Let's see if we can find it.
Not the car, but the keg.
Not
the one
see.
where it's the keg chest press.
That's what I pressed. It's searching leg press.
Keg chest press. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, trying to find. Oh, whoops, and put a space. Let's do that, and we'll do that. There it is.
Yeah.
This
needs to be a staple.
It's just so fucking dumb. Like, what the fuck is that? What is that? Like, I understand the point.
The best part is the plates on that rod at the bottom is just for support because of how heavy and top heavy the kegs are.
Yep. You know what's funny too is that like this guy's struggling for this. Did they add like more height to it? Did they make it like an S and like did he fill it with the kegs or something? Yeah.
Brian, I think he did.
Like this guy's struggling with like the 3 or 4 plates, 3 or 4 kegs, but then Brian got like all the way up to the top or some shit. Like that's how strong Brian Shaw is. Let me see if I can find the clip. It's somewhere. Also, you could do this. This is such a flex.
Yeah.
Oh, this is 75-pound plate? Fuck you.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's bullshit. People don't understand how strong these motherfuckers are.
That's absurd.
People strive for doing that with like a 45, let alone a 75.
What's crazy too is when he turns that plate and you can see it. For all of us, we're like, "Oh, that's a small weight," but then you realize just how big Brian Shaw is.
Yeah, you seen this video at all? So this is like, so Rogue made him a custom mug. It's a 25-pound mug.
Jesus.
It's got the grip right here that like dumbbells have.
Yeah.
Like it's got the mountain grip, with the grooves, and then it's like, but it's like CNC. It's like CNC machinery. So like, listen to it when he pulls the cap off.
I just want to say thank you to Bill and Katie.
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
From Rogue Fit getting their drinks. So this is 10.
that CNC sound. Oh, I love it.
Every guy listening
Oh.
is just like, I need to see a pane of glass drop now.
Oh, dude, that's like because it's so finely tuned, it's so finely machined. It's the sheen. I love it.
Kilos. This is 10.
But yeah, so he said this is 10 kilos and this is 10 kilos. So for my American brethren out there, 10 kilos, the good rule of thumb is 2.2 pounds per kilo. So it's 22 pounds roughly per side. So they did it in kilos, which is easier to measure.
So it's 40
yes.
pounds.
So yeah, it's a 45-pound mug with the cap. I mean, you wouldn't drink it with this because this would just shoot all the coffee out. But like when all is said and done, it's 45 pounds. And like, here's the thing. That was 45 pounds. Look at how he just lifts
I just want to say thank you to probably some people are going to get
nothing. Like it's nothing.
As they're getting
just
their drinks.
binked it
This
right
is
off the
10
table.
kilos of-
That's great.
Wild.
But he's also probably giving them like literally like $100,000 worth of like equipment, and that mug probably costed them like $100 to make or something.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You might be digging
Looking
for a
for the
while
keg.
because this was at the shot class. Oh, I guess right there.
Yeah,
And
so
see
there's
how many
this.
more added on though. He's
Yeah,
got one,
like, and
two,
it goes even
4, 5,
higher.
6, 7 from the picture.
Yeah, and it goes higher too. Like, it's not just what we saw there. Yeah,
There you
see,
go.
well, actually, it's in the background, but like, here we go. It goes higher. I think it's an S now, and
Yeah.
they stack even more kegs in it. Let's see. A Shaw Classic. That's crazy. He's got his own show now.
Well, what's even funnier is that it was the Shaw Classic, and he performed at the Shaw Classic. Like he won the Shaw Classic.
Jeez, is that
'Cause
not
it
a
was
conflict of interest? Well,
It was his retirement. It
like,
was his last event that he was doing. And now it's going to
okay.
be the Shaw Classic that he just runs moving forward. But see, he wins.
Yeah, but what's fine about this too is that it's also not like a conflict of interest where it's like bodybuilding is subjective. There is no like
Yeah.
black and white where it's like you could clearly see who lifted more, you know?
Yeah.
So like I could see how that's not really a conflict of interest. But yeah, so like they stacked on the kegs and he was fucking pressing that shit. But they made it a lot prettier for the show. So like, cause like there's this, right? It's not
Yeah.
that pretty. It's pretty
Well,
raw.
that's the
Like
one
they
in
just
works.
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just made it. But then you got that one. I mean, I'm not going to play the whole video, but like you got this one that's a lot prettier. It's actually like powder coated now. But yeah, so back to like just Panata, which is a really good brand. So like they got like this decline press. You could probably adjust it so it's a flat bench too. But it's just so sick. Like it looks pretty. But Atlantis though, if y'all have ever used Atlantis, it's pretty solid shit. I can't type because my drink's in the way. Atlantis is a pretty good brand. Yeah, my little 45 pounds Celsius. Let's see. Like it's not very good examples here. But like Atlantis, like here's a good example. Atlantis is a really good brand. Like there's you got this one right here where it's very adjustable where the weight starts and where it ends. And like you can tell if it's Atlantis because they have like these types of platforms. So it's got these like weird like triangles around the edge, and it'll say obviously it might say like a different like a gym's name or might say Atlantis or something. But if you see this pattern around the edge of a platform, you know it's Atlantis. You kind of see it on the edge right here. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, you know it's in Atlantis. So like right here, you can see that right here, the same similar pattern. But yeah, this is a really good brand. And this is the other thing too, is that Fitness Factory, you know how much I love vertical smiths like this?
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to find these, right? It's very hard to find like an actual like vertical smith. Fitness Factory has multiple. They have like 3. Dude, it's insane. They just got a brand new one from it's not this brand. I don't think it was Atlantis. I think it might have been Hammer Strength. Maybe Rogers. Might have been Rogers. I forget who it was. But they got a brand new one. He pointed it out. He's like, brand new vertical smith. He's like, we got a couple more vertical smiths on the other side. They even have one of these bitches. This is the neck trainer. You go like this. It trains your neck. Yeah, it's crazy. The machinery that they got is crazy. Let me see if I can find some like photos so you guys can see what it looks like real quick. It's so spread out though. It's like it's almost got like so much airflow. The photos just don't do it any justice. Like this ain't it. These two, the blue ones ain't it. Like this is Fitness Factory. This is the outside of the building. So it's like a big warehouse. You park on this side in this like gravel parking lot over here to the right. You walk in this way. Yeah. Brendan Hendrickson lifted there a few years ago. So like here's a good photo. Okay. So this is what it was before, right? So this is what you saw. This is what you got to experience. This is Yelp. Let me see if Yelp has anything good. So let's see the photos. So like, okay, here we go. So like, this is a good example of what it looked like before. But now imagine like I would say probably like 3/4 of this equipment is still on these two halves. So like basically all this. So you guys see this, like, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's like this metal, there's like this like fencing right here, right? Like these metal, it's like metal rope connecting these red poles all through the middle of the building. So one price is this side, the left side, and then if you pay more, you get side access to both sides. But the way they do it, so the way they price it in general, it's high. So they keep like they only want this very serious people. So it's less about quantity of people and it's more about like they make more profit per person, but therefore it's less people, right? So they're able to like afford less people in the gym. Where like Planet Fitness bets on thousands of people owning a membership, but then like nobody going, right? Like that's what they bet on. It's the opposite with this. They're like, we know people who are going to come here are going to keep coming here. They're going to be here every day. So we need to price it where we get our value out of that, right? So the way they priced it before was like, I think it was $60 for this side or $100 for both. But the way they do it too is they put the turf on this side. There's no turf on this side. And they also put like the best equipment on this side, like on the right side, like the craziest equipment. Like it's not like you can go over there and have a full body workout, but like you don't have like 7 different back machines over there. But it's like my favorite tricep machine I've ever used is on the right side over here. So it's like I got to pay more because I got this amazing tricep machine over here that I've never experienced anywhere else. Yeah, exactly. That's how they get you, right? So like they put all the craziest, like they'll put like a couple machinery for each muscle group over there, but it's like the craziest piece that they got, right? So they put that over there. Same with the turf. They put the pit sharks, I think, over there. Stuff like that, right? Another set of dumbbells. So like a whole set of dumbbells dedicated to this side. And they're fucking strict. Like I know someone, I'm not going to say his name, but I know someone who had a membership for one side, went to the other side for like one machine or something. It was like midnight. Like this is like nobody was there. That's why he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go over there. It's one machine. I never go over there. They texted him or emailed him the next day and they said, hey, if you want access to the other side, you have to pay for it. And he's like, wow, what the fuck? Because there's nothing you scan, nothing. It's just you just walk over there. That's it. Right. So with that said, now to the left over here, most of the machinery on the right side is now moved to the second half on the left side over here. And then all this shit is spread out. So imagine so I would say it's probably halfway split. Like probably half this machinery is still over here. So it's pretty spread out now. Some of it's over here. Some of it's over on the left side. But they added way more equipment too. So it's not quite like exactly half. Like it's probably like another like 25% machinery, but then they doubled the size, right? So it's like it's way more spread out, but it's still more equipment. And there's like nobody there too, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, so this is Fitness Factory for you. They got big fans. I don't really see them here because I think they're up inside the ceiling almost, but there's one I think right there, maybe. They got gigantic fans. One right there, I think. Which they don't have AC, but it's like the fans create so much airflow and the building is so big, it actually feels kind of like cool in there.
And when the gym doors open, you got
AC.
the natural wind.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a train track. There's like train tracks and shit here, so it's like a pretty wide open area that they're in. They're like in a warehouse section of Charlotte. It's called Noda, and there's like a busy area and then there's like a business area. The business area is a bunch of warehouses and shit. This is their dogs that they had walking around. Unfortunately, this one passed away, so it's just Oreo now. But like they get like hand-me-downs too. Like this is from that cable machine right here is from like a college. I don't know who it was, maybe something in Tennessee or something. It's like a whole cable machine from a college. So like here we go. So like there's like no doors or anything. There was at one point, there's like saloon doors almost, but you can just walk over to the other side.
I remember there being, if it wasn't bars, there's like netting, and then you had to walk through like one of those like subway turnstiles.
Yeah, they're like saloon doors. There's like these metal welded doors that were just like they just swing back and forth. So you push your way through and then they open up and then they go back to where they were. So this is where you park. You can see into the gym a bit. Here's another photo. So like where these garage doors are right here is now like more of the cable rope. So you can't just like walk through here. You'd have to like duck between the cable ropes to get into the other side. But then over here, way in the distance over here, there's a door. There's glass doors now. And it says like full access only or something. So you have to walk all the way down here through here. And then you have like almost like double this size over here, which is crazy. But yeah, so this is Fitness Factory. It's one of the biggest gyms in the world now.
Love that.
That must be the old Fitness Factory. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, this is the old Fitness Factory. Jeez. Holy shit. That's crazy. But yeah, so it's pretty crazy now. They charge a lot. I think their website is down. I want to say, let me see. I think their website is like being built. Yeah, new website coming soon. But you go to like memberships and pricing. So like a single day pass is $20. So per year, standard access $950, $1,500 for the whole thing. Yeah. Let me see. $0 enrollment fee if you pay this though. I mean that's good, but it's like, what is that? $120, $130 a month if you break this down. 150 divided by 12. Yeah, it's like 100, what, 30? 125, right?
125, yeah.
Yeah, so really the only difference here is that you save $5 a month and you don't have to pay the enrollment fee, because for the 12-month it's 130 and there's $100 enrollment fee. And then they got what's called a graveyard, which is kind of cool. Where all the old equipment is, where like that tricep extension or tricep skull crusher was, there's a big like lit up like sign, and it says the graveyard with a skull, and it's like sideways.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But yeah, so $80 for one side and then $130 for both. There's a posing room. Where was the posing room?
it's just
I never saw a
by
posing
the
room.
bay doors that we did our posing last.
Yeah, I wonder where that is. Month to month is $150, $50 enrollment fee, which is something I was considering. Is like per year. That's not correct. That's a typo. One thing I was considering was like doing it month to month until the other one opens up, because it might be a few more months before the other one opens up. They just put down the turf yesterday, I think it was. So I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty sweet gym. I enjoyed it a lot. We'll see what ends up happening with that. See if I end up getting a membership there or not. But it's always good to try out new things, and I have the opportunity to do that. You know, being in Charlotte, I have the opportunity to try out many gyms. There's many gyms in the area. You know, I'm not limited to just a few. So I'm able to. I have that luxury to try out multiple gyms. So yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah, man.
That's our gym Icks for you. Hate having to wait for machinery and shit.
And squatters' rights.
But yes, squatters. Ugh. God, it makes me want to throw up every time. Squatters' rights. Ugh.
Yep.
It's fucking gross. How about I just kick them out of my building? It's my house. My name's on the deed. Oh, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
They're breaking and entering. But whatever.
Standing ground states. That's
yep. Smaller federal government, bigger state government. Let's do it. Libertarianism. We're gonna become a government propaganda podcast. Just talk about being libertarian and about freedom.
What are you? Freedom.
Liberty and freedom. That's all I care about.
You're
but
10 meters away from me. What is that in gallons of oil to bald eagle freedom?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't speak in Euro trash, Euro poor. I speak in terms of like, I remember there's a post that was from a news agency or something. They were like, there's this like sinkhole that opened up, and they're like, it's about the size of 10 washing machines. It's like, what are these units of measurements we're using to describe holes? Like it's such an American thing. Like, oh, it's 10 washing machines deep. Like, if you put them in a grid, it's about 10 of those deep. What? Will you just tell me how deep it is and how wide it is? But whatever. In terms of Twinkies and McDonald's burgers. How big is that hole? About 100,000 McDonald's burgers. Whoa, man. That's more than I have in like a few years. But we appreciate you guys listening. We will be back next week with another episode. Kind of just shot the shit today about our gym Icks. But we'll have something maybe a bit more structured next week. We'll see. But we appreciate you guys listening to us chatting. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.